Hey everybody, it's Friday and I am back in the studio and it is art demo day, art journaling demo day. So I am going to just jump right in. Actually, what I'm going to do is I came back and this was sitting on my desk. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep working on it because, yeah, it doesn't feel finished to me, and there's some things going on with it. It's crusty, which isn't a bad thing, you know, but it also warped the page a little bit. Anyway, so you guys know I don't like that. I don't like the warping. And that's because there are inconsistent layers, like genuinely thick layers of medium on here, crackle medium, which purposely dries a little tight, right? So to make that crackle. So you can see that where that crackle is, it's sort of puckered the paper underneath. This had the advantage of having paint on it already, so it didn't completely screw it up. So I'm just going to keep going with this. It's a little vibrant, and so I was thinking that I would take some of my mediums, or some of my liquid mediums, and just tamp it down a little bit. And you know me, I like to flood. So I'm going to flood this. Whew, I forgot that this one has a strong smell. It smells like hairspray. I wonder if it has the eye zinc shiny spray, just the eye zinc, which you can see I needed to shake it up so to get the mica going in it, which I always forget to do that. But boy, I can really smell the binder they have on that one. Which may very well be the same stuff they put in hairspray, for all I know, right? Yeah. Shellac, wasn't there hairspray called shellac when we were kids? Yeah. I just have a vivid memory of a girl named, I think, Michelle, using a lighter to set fire to a spray of Aquanet and setting her jeans on fire. Oh boy. In home ec, of all places. The things we used to do. Right. If we heard anything like that about our kids, we would freak out. All right, so you can see that, this is a little bit opaque. Some of that's the mica in there that makes it opaque. So it's, it's interacting with the color that I had down, and what's the word? It's obscuring. But you can also see where the crackle paste is. It's sitting on top, which is part of what happens.
It makes that pink really pop when you put the blue on there.
Yeah, it does. It's definitely creating a veil of color on top. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, hello, Seth After. Of course, Seth After's sprays are not mica, and so they're not shimmery. They are also very intense, which is what's so lovely about them. You can see that that's really gonna change the colors that I had on here. So where it was yellow is now green, and where it was pink is now purplish. Now, some of you might be like, what? Now it's completely changed. That's the point. I was not attached to what I had down. The layers are still there. So even no matter what I do next, they're still there. I can still access them. I could scrape through. I could just, the texture that they created is still there. So for me, I do this sometimes with spreads that don't serve me anymore, that I made in a space that, I don't want to be reminded of. Some of the stuff that when I first started art journaling, and I'm not quite as attached to, or that makes me feel, honestly, some of them make me feel bad, because I remember the struggle I had when I did them. Just work over them. That work is still there. But you've evolved, and there's no reason your art journaling can't evolve too in your spreads. So do what feels right to you. Lois says hi. Hi, Lois. I appreciate how reliable you are, Lois. I always get a hi. I appreciate that. Kendall and I are considering joining a group called the Ugly Art Group. And I'm kind of curious about it because in some ways I feel like they're just putting a, you know, trendy name onto something that I think is really important, which is that this isn't about judging your work. It isn't about trying to make it beautiful. It's about doing something that taps into your creativity and makes you feel good. So you might look at it later and say, oh, that's ugly, but it didn't matter if it served you in the moment.
The Ugly Art Club.
Ugly Art Club. It's Dee Dee Cauldron, and she's someone that I've come across on various retailer events and stuff. I think she's a designer. She's definitely a sample maker. She makes things for people. Anyway, it looks interesting. If anyone's out there looking for some camaraderie, it might be an option. The Ugly Art Club. Yeah, that's an idea. They only take membership. They do like membership drives 2 or 3 times a year, right?
September 1st.
Yeah. So September 1st, probably can't hear Kendall over the blast. Or me, actually. I realized too that now that we're not using mics, that it's harder to hear me, and so I'm going to try and figure out the mic thing. Gotta put that on the agenda.
The mic, okay.
Mic. Okay. So these, you know, I do not take care of my Dina Wakley acrylic sprays, so they do not spray anymore. So now I'm just using them as a wash. You know, I can just tip them on if I really want to get aggressive with it. I do love this color. This is her olive, and I love olives, so there you go. It's a match made in heaven. So what I want is some, you know, maybe something that will get in and interact. So a couple things that are happening here. You can see the liquid mediums that I have down are interacting with the, the ones I put down previously are water soluble, so the color's changing. You know, it's interacting with this acrylic liquid that I just put down. And so they're gonna muddy and muddle a little bit, even if they're dry, because that's the whole point about the water soluble ones, is that they stay water soluble even when they're dry. They're permanent when they're dry, but not if you get them wet again. All right, so now I'm feeling a little happier with this. It feels a little less stark, and it's got a little more going on with it in terms of depth and interest. These crunchy bits are popping up off the piece, which I'm just gonna let that happen and not freak out. I don't like things popping off my pieces. It's really not my favorite, unless I do it on purpose. You know, there's always that moment where you're like, oh, I'm gonna peel this off, and you peel it off and it feels like taking off a Band-Aid. But I don't want it to happen just randomly. So you can see I'm doing a little scraping here, and I'm getting down to those previous layers. So, you know, they're in there. And if I have something on here that's fairly liquid, it potentially dissolves some of those layers and lets me dig down to it.
Michelle says hi.
Hi, Michelle. Appreciate you guys showing up, checking out what I'm doing. I missed the consistency of these demos while I was away, even though I managed to get a lot of them in. Oh, this is cheddar, which I do like this color a lot, normally.
Looks just like cheddar cheese.
It does, doesn't it? Tillamook, that's our brand. Mostly because I grew up in the Northwest, and actually I've been to Tillamook. Back in the old days when they let you actually lean over the cheese bins and taste the curds. I don't do that anymore.
So Lois has a comment. She's saying that Dina says she rarely uses the paints as sprays. She either uses them as paints or splatters with them.
Yeah. Splatters. Let's see the splatter. Yeah, I think she's come to the realization that this packaging doesn't work for acrylics. Ooh, splatter. Yes, lady, I like it. Very cool. So I'm splattering into wet. So I'm getting these patches because it's, you know, they're dissolving a little. She also has, and I've had them on order for months now. I'm really hoping one of the 5,000 boxes that came while I was gone has them. But they have a little applicator tip that you can put on the top that then turns it into like a paint writer. Or she uses that to scribble and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that might be its saving grace.
That would be nice to demo also.
Yeah. But I don't know how, other than a spray, like a actual spray paint, how you can package acrylic in a way that you can spray it. So, got my pink on. That was fun. I'm getting another one of those like watercolory Monet things going on here.
Unless you use a new sprayer each time. You know, you just have
That's true. You take it off, throw it in a bucket of water so that it never hardens, and then put a cap on, take that off, redo it. Yeah, that's not a bad thought. I mean, I honestly think that if you're religious about cleaning the tip and then putting the cap on in between, you know, your work, that it will work. I'm just not that kind of person.
Yeah.
Neither is Dina, as far as I can tell, which is maybe what the problem is. Anyway, all those crunchy layers are still there. You can still see them. I'm guessing that once they dry, that all of this liquid I put on there will pull some of the, you know, some more of these chunks off. I'm just gonna let that happen with this one. It was an experiment. It's not my usual style, but at the same time, you know, you can see that I've got a lot of my usual stuff going on in terms of color. What I don't have is the visual interest of the stencils that I usually use popping up through it, and I do miss that. I really like that when that happens, where you get a little place for your eye to rest, because this is just chaos, even with this new color, you know, even with the leveling out the color a little bit, it's still chaotic, and there's no place for your brain to like go, oh, or oh. And so, you know, I do love what's going on here. I will say that, but that's because that's what I'm looking for. So, you know, this might be the sort of thing you want to do as a background that you then put a focal piece on top of. A lot of the stuff that I've been doing recently is working with my crafting, is working with ephemera and things like that and creating focal points. So, you know, you could easily do that with something like this as a background. Let's see, this is sitting here.
Lois has a bunch of things she's saying. Let's see. She said, Dina always says, don't worry about being perfect. You'll have more fun.
Yeah,
she says,
that's true. I've been in the room when she said that. It's very good like that.
Lois is wondering if the crackle would rub off or fall off.
Yeah, that's what I think is happening. It would definitely rub off if I were to rub it. I prefer the way here. I'll just show you guys. So this is the board that I used. Damn it. Oop, did I just swear on camera? Sorry. So I played around with this, and a board doesn't warp. So there's less chance of the, you know, this is happening because it's warping underneath, and as it warps, the crackle sticks up and all that. This was the board I did as a precursor to this, because I wanted to play around with sanding down layers and using crackle. This is actually smooth, but I still have that crackle because of all the layers that are in there. And so, you know, it really depends on what you have underneath it. So the crackle on this is not gonna come up. I've literally sanded this, and you can see that the crackle stayed. This, the crackle is popping off of because it's just not that stable.
Lois thinks the grunge adds to it, makes it better.
Thank you. Yes.
And then Michelle says so pretty, and she She says she took a gel plate class with Vicky Boutin and finally understood your lack of cleaning stencils as you go.
You know what's funny is there's a woman I watch on Instagram. I think her handle's Juicy Christians, and she does these envelopes. I think she's a designer for Tim Holtz, and so she's got a big following and all that. But she's always like, and then you clean your stencil because you don't want your stencil to get icky. And you can see she takes time in her video to actually like wipe it down. I'm like, that is so not me. I just squeezed out a little olive of the acrylic paint. So this is her medium body acrylic. And medium body means that it relaxes a little when you put it down. So you can see I've squished them out and it's relaxing. It's not holding its shape. A heavy body will also relax a little bit. A texture paste does not. That's what we like about texture paste. And I'm going to throw this down just in a couple spots. It's going to go down thin and it's going to interact with the color that's on there. So it's going to maybe come across as a little translucent. And because I'm using a brayer, it's picking up chunks. Some of this is not dry. Some of the, like to your point, Lois, you can see the crackles coming up. This brayer is going to need a deep cleaning. So that's one thing I do is periodically I clean my brayers because otherwise they get so thick they can't actually roll. And then they're not a brayer anymore. They're just a tool to throw at people if you're inclined. So again, that sort of added that greeny yellow. Just put down some more. And if you roll it out first on your brayer, then you get a thin veil. You can put it directly on your page and roll it out that way. You're going to get blobs, which maybe that's what you want. So experiment if you're not sure what brayer technique you like the best. The best palette, honestly, for a brayer is a jelly plate. So if you have your jelly plate handy, use that to brayer, load your brayer up because it really works. Okay, I'll finish. You see? I'm just going to hit this a little bit with one of these. With this. So it dries with a sort of matte finish. I would call it an eggshell personally, but it doesn't say on there. Curious to see if these, once they dry properly, will be sturdy enough to stay on the page. I haven't even closed this page yet, so I have no idea what's going to happen when I do that. All right, what should I do next? Oh, there you go, Lois. I'll save that for you as a chunk. What else do I want? Okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to add some white. This is actually a newish white. Does not matter. Angharad, you do not take care of your stuff. So I don't know what's stopping it from pumping, if it's that there's a skin on here. Right. Not happening. No. Here, I'm gonna mix it a little bit and then I'm gonna splatter.
That's frustrating for the designer.
I'm sure it is, because you have this great idea for a product. But I have to say, part of that is what the distributor or your manufacturer is supposed to do with you is to product test. So, I do feel like some of the stuff gets put out without being properly product tested. Jane Davenport had, you know, her paints, the ones that come on those tubes that I like. The first round of those tubes popped open here at the top.
Oh,
Like,
no.
and you get these cracks and stuff because you were squeezing, you know, if you squeezed,
Yeah.
it would flex here.
Yeah.
And so she had this whole thing where she showed you how to take washi tape and
Oh,
close it
no,
off.
she
And I
didn't
always
do
felt
that.
so bad for her having to, like, you know, basically hack her own
Yeah.
supplies for people.
Um,
But yeah,
I
now,
wonder- I wonder if those tubes were designed for makeup, that you're just squeezing a teeny bit at a time for foundation or something.
who knows? She was very into the makeup thing. She is. So look what's happening here. This is white, and I've put it down, and it is somehow interacting with whatever blue's on my page, and it's really pulling that blue up and making it vibrant, which is kind of interesting. One of the things we like about playing with these products, seeing what they do. Come on. What I should do is get a paintbrush. Flick with that. Flick it. Or I could do that. I could dabble. Dab. See what happens. Dab. Dab. I do like taking this on something that's really, really dry, and like if you take the edge and just rub it like that, it can highlight. And so you'll see that on some of my mixed media pieces with a lot that have a lot of dimension. I've done that sometimes.
Lois is asking if you really have to shake them a lot.
No, not hers. There's no mica to mix up in there, so you really just, you know, these are acrylic paints in the same way that the bottles are. So sometimes when you take a bottle and you squeeze it out and this clear gook comes out instead of paint, that's because it's separated from its binder. So this is the same concept. So you want to shake it to get the binder, you know, evenly distributed. But honestly, it's not, it's not, it doesn't take much. There's a little ball in there that helps with it though. I did think of that part. I'm enjoying the flicking today. Flick. So, I mean, if you're here from the beginning, you'll see how dramatically different this looks now. But there's still spots, right? You can still see the crackle. You can still see my pinks coming through in some places. You can see the yellows where they've turned green. I still have some at the bottom here that I didn't really touch. So, you know, it's all still here. But again, I'm kind of missing my huge, as Michael Domingue would say, my huge. He actually has, his huge is actually a wash that he puts on at the end of everything. It's this combination of these fine art paints that creates a sort of gray-y brown that he puts on, and it makes the whole piece, because he does this assemblage stuff where he puts doll heads on top of, you know, fire trucks, and then you paint them, and then you put the huge on, and it makes the whole thing feel like it was born that way, basically. All right. What do you think? What should I do next? Anything? I may very well just let this dry and then do some stenciling on top next week, because
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, this feels like maybe it needs to say something. Maybe that's what all this is. Saying something. Does everyone have a favorite word they like to use in their work? You know, like a lot of people like the word belief or love or what's another? Destiny, gratitude. Do you have a favorite word that you would use, Kendall?
I thought of breathe right before you said
Oh,
it.
that's nice. Did I say breathe?
I think that was the first one you said.
Yeah. I know my word resist that's the one that I fall back on the most, but mostly because my brain rejects platitudes. So part of me's like, you got to come up with something a little more thoughtful. Dream, magic. I don't know. Got to put some thought into it. Anyway, I think that might be it for me today. I'm gonna let it dry. I might revisit again next week. Who knows? Next week we've got a theme, so we'll see if it fits. And you know what I think I need to do is turn the air conditioning on. It's getting kind of hot in here. All right, so we'll be back at 1. I have so many boxes.
It's tomorrow. Do you want to talk about
Oh yeah, so thank you. Tomorrow I have on the schedule collagraphs, which maybe you don't know what a collograph is, and so you're not sure you'd want to take it. But collagraphs are basically found object prints. And so we're going to build one using a cardboard and cutouts and paper and things like that. So really ours is going to be fairly simple. And if you Google collagraphs, you're going to find a lot of different versions of what a collograph is out there. But it's just an easy way to, create a printing. And a print basically is something that you can replicate, which, jelly printing is the exception. It's still considered printing, but it's considered a monoprint. Collagraphs are not considered monoprints. They're considered actual prints because you're actually supposed to be able to get the same print over and over again. So we'll be playing around with that. So I'll be teaching you how to build your own collograph plate. And we'll actually do a couple. So one will be just a basic with some paper elements, and then another one will be one where you get to choose a little more fantastical things to put on there, see how that works. Anyway, I hope that sounds interesting. I'll be sending out a newsletter about it today too, so you can click the link there to sign up. And yeah, my bookbinding tonight is full, and it feels like I came back, of course, after vacation with tons of ideas of things to do. So yes, my classes are in studio. Right now, I don't have anything online, mostly because I think we're all a little sick of the online thing. We just did an online convention, and by the end of it, we were all just sort of burnt out on the whole Zoom. So yeah, not online at the moment. Still, I'm being cautious. We're still obviously wearing masks. There's a mask mandate, but yeah, give it a try. Anyway, hope to see you guys in the store. Come back at 1. We'll have a lot of stuff to show you. So it's good to be back, everyone.